Hello and welcome. My name is Jeff if you're new here, and on this channel we help educate you on complex financial planning topics. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. In this video, we are going to discuss restricted stock units or RSUs. Sometimes employers want their employees to own company stock, and they will grant stock in the form of restricted stock units. The stock is restricted so that for a period of time, the employee is not allowed to sell their stock and walk away with cash. There's usually some future vesting date where the stock becomes the employee's stock, and then they're able to sell it if they want to, or they could keep it and hope for future appreciation in the company. To understand the tax consequences of restricted stock units, we must understand the concept of substantial risk of forfeiture. Substantial risk of forfeiture means that I've received a benefit from my employer, but there's a chance that I might forfeit or lose that benefit. And so when we think about the doctrine of constructive receipt, when I am in constructive receipt of the benefit, a tax consequence will be created. As long as there is a substantial risk of forfeiture or a chance I might not ever get that benefit, I am not in constructive receipt, so there is no tax consequence. But when we reach a point where there is no longer a chance that I might lose that benefit or forfeit that benefit, then I am in constructive receipt, and at that point I am taxed on the benefit. So we need to know the value of the stock at the time the restriction is lifted, because that will create the tax consequence. For example, let's assume that my employer grants me $10,000 of RSUs, but they don't vest for 2 years. In that 2-year period, this stock total value increases to $15,000. And then I vest and the restriction is lifted. At the time the restriction is lifted, the value of the stock is $15,000, and that is taxed like any other compensation, W-2 compensation to me. So I will pay ordinary income tax rates on $15,000 in this example. Now, something I want to make you aware of is, and by the way, once that restriction is lifted, then I can do what I want with the stock. I could sell it, I could hang on to it if I want to, and my basis, my tax basis in that stock is $15,000. Any appreciation above $15,000 would be taxed at a capital gain when I sell. There is something else I want to tell you about, and that is the 83B election, which is an election that could be made by the employee. What I could choose to do is, when these RSUs are granted to me, I could decide to just pay the tax on the $10,000 at that time when they're granted. But they're still restricted and I still might forfeit them. But the reason for doing this is that any appreciation above $10,000 would be taxed in the future as a capital gain. And if I hold it for greater than a year, it'll be a long-term capital gain taxed at a favorable rate. But here's the risk. If I forfeit the stock, I pay the tax on $10,000. There's no way for me to reclaim those tax dollars. I'm taking a risk that if I make the election and pay the tax, I'm betting that I am going to work long enough that I vest and the restriction is lifted, and then I get the stock and the favorable tax result. So if I make the 83B election, I need to be pretty confident of two things. One, that I'm going to be working for the company long enough that I will satisfy the requirement for the restriction to be lifted. And number two, that the stock is likely to appreciate, so that there's gains there for me to actually benefit from the favorable long-term capital gain rates. Thanks for watching. If you have questions about what you learned, click the link in the description to learn more about our firm and how we can help you.